Hello, good evening, and every time I do a video my earrings go wonky. So hello, good evening, it's Vanilla from Above Beyond. And I guess I ought to tell people when I'm going to be doing a live, but I'm never sure what time I'm going to be available. So I'll just carry on talking. Today is day 4 of my to Zen of sorting stress and building resilience. And today it's D for defining your boundaries. So I was delivering training in staff resilience and wellbeing to a group of managers and team members today. And one of the key things that came up for the managers was around boundaries or being available for their staff to offload onto. And a huge issue was around the managers feeling overloaded with the amount of stuff that team members often or did bring to them periodically. And where would they go with that? What were they to do with that? Who was there to support them? And also they wanted to have an open door policy. Plus people who are empaths absorb more of the emotion of other people and tend to take things on a great deal, if not too much at times. So we got onto the discussion around defining boundaries, because if there was no opportunity for them to get support elsewhere from another manager, then what were they to do? And what I was suggesting to them is that they turn it around and they actually empower their staff and coach their staff to find their own solutions. And rather than it just being an opportunity for staff to come and have a moan or offload, was then an opportunity to think, okay, what are we going to do next? How are we going to sort this issue out? So for the manager to be really, really clear about saying when they could and when they couldn't help. So that's one way of decreasing and sorting out stress, because if we are always saying yes to people, we put great pressure on ourselves. And what ends up happening then is we get irritable and we maybe don't help people as well as we could. And we all know the story and probably heard it loads of times, is when you're in an aeroplane, we're told to put the life jacket on ourselves and put on the oxygen mask and look after ourselves before we look after other people. And that is just so true. We can't look after other people if we're just so stressed, if we're never saying no. And also we're really not doing justice to ourselves or other people, because we're not empowering them to sort problems out themselves. We're just being the helper. We're keeping people where they're at. And what also happens is then we're expected to always be there for other people. So by defining our boundaries and saying no to certain things and being clear, it may be that people who have been used to us always saying yes get a bit irritated first of all. But then what they'll do is they'll start, if they're worth their salt, if they're good friends, if they value as an individual, they will then start to respect your space, respect your boundaries. And if they don't, then perhaps you ought to think twice about being friends with that person or having a relationship with those people, and step back a little bit, because it's really important that we set our own personal boundaries and look after ourselves. And in addition to that, it's also very, very useful to learn to detach. When we've got people who are telling us about their stories and their issues, it's about being able to step back and create a sort of a protective barrier, a protective boundary around us, so we keep our energy and we don't give all our energy away. Some people are very good at sucking out your energy and taking it onto themselves, but what happens is they never go anywhere. They never change the situation. They keep going and taking our energy. They're called emotional vampires by some. So really learning to detach and think, okay, this is not my problem. I cannot solve this problem. I can support the person to resolve the problem, but I can't solve it myself. and I'm not going to take this problem on as mine. So those are the 2 things for defining your boundaries this evening. There's plenty more, but what you need to learn to do, if you are one of those people who does say yes, and lots of women do because they've learned to put everyone else ahead of themselves, by especially if they've brought up children or if they're caring for people. They're very good at always saying yes to other people, and then it can be resented too. So learn to say no, define your boundaries, and also learn to detach to save your energy. So that's D for to Zen of sorting stress. And I hope you have a great rest of the evening and a fantastic night's sleep. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Aiming for that, I'm off to France in a couple of days, so I'll be on the road doing these. So it depends on the connection that I have. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. And if you've got any comments or you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments below. I'm really happy to answer anyone's questions and to let me have your thoughts about defining your boundaries. Until next time, it's been Fenella from Above Beyond. Good night.